right, what's up, guys? Welcome to episode 2 of the Kick and Bass podcast. Today, we are going to be talking about everyone's favorite subject, money. So we're going to be talking about how, as an electronic music producer, you can make money. And, we're going to be talking about our careers and, different ways that you can kind of supplement this income and, how it works as a hobby versus a full-time job. There's definitely a lot to get into, and we are down one coach today. So Millean is not with us. So we just have Muus and Heider here. And yeah, without further ado, we're gonna get started. So the first thing I want to say,
question.
Yeah, what's your question, Heider?
What money?
Exactly. That's the perfect start. What money, right? So I think there's like this big misconception, because you'll look at a lot of like DJs on Instagram and you'll be like, wow, look at these guys, like, flying private, like balling out with their Rolexes, blah, blah, blah. And you're like, it must be so easy once you become a DJ to just get rich and, have all these nice things. And it took me a while to realize that like those are like the very small minority out of all of the producers and DJs in the world. There's like a very small minority that can be very lucrative, and it is really like a labor of love. Like I've noticed that it's extremely hard to make money and do music production as like a full-time job. So it's definitely, if you're a producer and you're trying to have that be your only thing, almost all of the producers I know, and these are people that are playing festivals, these are people that are getting millions of streams on Spotify, a lot of them have other jobs or do a lot of other things to supplement their income. It's just extremely difficult to make a lot of money, and it just doesn't at the moment make a lot of money. I think there's probably a couple reasons for that. One could be the fact that there's just it's a supply and demand issue, right? So the supply of DJs and producers that make electronic music is so high because the barrier to entry is so low, right? Like anyone can download FL Studio or Ableton and watch some tutorials and get some nice samples and start making some pretty decent tracks. But the demand is pretty low, right? Like there's only so many clubs, there's only slots at festivals, there's only so many slots on a playlist that Spotify, curates. And so I think that's like one of the reasons why it's really just hard to make money. I don't know if you guys have any thoughts on this as well.
Yeah, I think like the demand is set, but the supply is always higher. So it's a matter of like fierce competition and getting better. And to get to that point, to that 1% that is balling out, is super difficult and highly unlikely. But you don't need to be, you don't have to be in it for that. That should not be. I mean, that is a nice thing if it happens, but I don't think that's the driving factor for you as a producer. So yeah. I came into the production and DJ thing like 12 years ago, something like that, and the EDM scene was at an all-time high.
Yeah,
and it was you'd see like every like fucking new guy coming out and being on tour and stuff like that. It was looking like, dude, this is crazy. I want in, but you find quite early on that
you get humbled.
That's the dream. Yeah, that's the dream they sell you, but it's not actually how it works for everyone. It could work like that. It's not given.
Yeah, I feel like that conversation can go pretty deep because like, yeah, you definitely like see all these like DJs on Instagram and shit, and they're just like balling out. And then I feel like that attracts like a lot of people into the space, which is good, like the genre grows, like production gets more popular. But with the barrier to entry to be like a laptop and a cracked version of Ableton and like a couple of loop samples, like you're right, like that competition is just at an all-time high, and that 1% just keeps getting further and further away. So at the end of the day, I feel like the people that are going to last like kind of in this are the people that are doing it not for money, but just for the love of the music and love of the genre, love of the, the party and stuff like that. So,
and I think most producers, when I can speak for myself. Like no one gets into music production and being like, I want to make this music really because of money. Maybe some people do, but I feel like for most people, it's like you hear electronic music and you fall in love with it. You're like, it's the sickest thing ever. Like, I want to learn how to make it. For me, it's a lot like sports, right? It's like, think about how many people in the world play, I don't know, this is the American version, but like basketball, right? Like the chances that you're going to be in the NBA are like very, very slim. That's not to say that, it's impossible. And it's a little bit different, right? Because, I think sports, it's like you're kind of born for basketball or something like that. You're born tall, or, you're born with like this crazy athletic skill. But like most people don't play sports because they're like, oh, I think I'm going to make it to the NBA. Even if they want to get better, they just want to get better for the sake of getting better. And they have fun doing it. So I think, even the people that I know that have become extremely successful for music and are, able to do it full time and, make a lot of money and live out that kind of life that, people like to advertise. Those guys like didn't expect, or like, they were going to do it. They just made music because they loved it. And, a couple things fell into place and it kind of happened for them. So I think, you should always treat it as, like a labor of love, and like you want to do it to make you want to make music for the sake of making music. And if you're able to kind of turn it into a full-time job, that's great. And I think that's some of the topics we're going to talk about here, is like what you can do to help, if you are saying, I love making music, this is all I want to do in life, like what are some ways that you can make money other than the typical routes. But yeah, it's really difficult to make money with music, and you kind of just have to do it for the love of it.
Yeah, no doubt. I feel like there's a lot of opportunities though, especially if you're like, I don't know, in college, for instance. Like that's kind of how I got my start. Like, I think Heider just popped off on accident.
Oh, he'll come back in. So all
right, cool. Yeah, I mean, like, because I was kind of in that similar boat. Like, you experience electronic music for the first time and you're just like, holy shit, like I want to know everything about this. Well, welcome back.
You went to the metaverse for 1 second and then came back.
Yeah, I'm back. Sorry. Yeah, my internet sucks.
We're good. So.
Yeah, I mean, I know that a lot of the Kick and Bass members and like some of my one-on-one students are college students, and that's honestly like a great time to start kind of getting your feet wet in different things, especially DJing. Like for me, like it was pretty easy to kind of get involved in sort of the college DJ scene. Obviously it's not ideal because you're playing like mostly top 40s and just like honestly like pretty shit music. But when I look back at my time in college, like honestly, like I think I'm a pretty solid DJ today just because I was able to kind of like start learning how to read a crowd. It's obviously a little bit different maybe in dance music versus like college, but just to be able to like keep like a vibe going was just like really good practice for when, we fast forward to right now where I'm starting to kind of get my feet wet and more, clubs and festivals and stuff. And not only that, but I mean, hell of a way to make money for, an 18, 19, 20, 21-year-old kid.
Yeah, I think, the typical ways that a producer makes money is like they play shows. So they go out to whatever venue it is. And like, they could be an opening DJ. It could be a wedding. It could be a sorority party in college. Like I played a ton of like sorority events and formals. And you get like a fee, for paying it, right? So DJs the bigger the DJ, the more the fee, and you kind of have your costs by doing that. You have to fly to the show, maybe you have to bring your own equipment, blah blah blah. But that's like one way to make money. The other way is like if you're a producer, you put your music out, you sell it on Beatport, you get money back from the label, or if you self-release it, goes right to your account, and like same thing
for sure.
The streams. So like college, I think is great because there's usually like a ton of parties, right? So there's a lot of opportunity. Sometimes there'll be a lot of competition with like other DJs, but you're able to kind of maybe not play exactly what you want. Like when I was in college, I had to play fucking
Fergalicious.
country and hip hop and everything.
Country.
But yeah, I went to school in North Carolina, so they love
Yeah.
wagon wheel. That's what I was thinking. I was like,
Wagon wheel. Yeah.
wagon wheel.
Yeah, I mean, I think like for me, like I like college was a perfect time for me to just like, figure it out without having like, the stresses of like life for the most part. Like obviously like for a lot of people, college is stressful. For me, like I was like in a very like fortunate position where my parents are helping me kind of get through there. So I was able to just like, DJ and like make money on the side while I was starting to dive into production. And I don't know, I just think it's like a perfect 4 or 5 years to just like completely immerse yourself in that culture and try and figure out like what it would be like after college. Cause it kind of got to the point for me where I graduated this past summer and I was like, working kind of this job. And then, I don't know, I just feel like if it weren't for those like 3 or 4 years where I had to just kind of like float around and just like work my ass off, then I definitely wouldn't be able to do it full time right now.
And I think for people that like aren't in college, like the main takeaway is like, there will be, if there is a point in your life where like there's a roof over your head and you don't have to worry about it, like that's when I've seen a lot of producers really get into things. It's because like they have the freedom, and not everyone has this freedom. It definitely is like a privilege and like a fortune to be able to do that. But like if you don't have to pay rent, you kind of have the freedom to do whatever you want. Like you could stay home and play video games all day. You could get into some other hobby, right? But that's like when a lot of times people are like, okay, I'm gonna get into music production and get really good at it because all they have to do is like go to class and they have like a lot of free time.
Yeah, and it's definitely hard too because like in college there's a lot of like pressure to be going out on Thursday, Friday, Saturday nights, and like for me specifically, it got to a point where all the homies were going out, and I would just have to be like, like I gotta stay in tonight. Like I want to produce for like 9 hours, until 3 a.m. and like I don't know, you just kind of have to like sacrifice a lot no matter like what situation you're in, whether it's like time or money or whatever, like everybody's situations are very unique, but there's definitely ways to just dedicate your life to it.
You need to either be like a hustler or like you need to like sacrifice some time. So like for me personally, like I've been producing music since I was in high school. I was producing music in college, and like I always had that dream of like I want to be like a superstar DJ. I want to be like Avicii, whatever. Which was I literally never thought it was gonna happen. I was just like a kid in a bedroom. And I produced all through college, and then I graduated and I was like, okay, like I need a job because I'm not making jack shit as a DJ, right? Like I'm playing like for $300 or so, like a sorority party in college. I'm not getting any money from my music streaming at this point. I was like doing bootlegs on SoundCloud. So it's like, I think that's like a thing that a lot of people take as like a bad thing. They're like, oh, if I have a job, then that doesn't make me like a producer or doesn't make me a DJ. Like I need to be like doing it full time. And like those are the people that I usually see kind of burn out, because what happens is they go full time and saying, this is my identity, I'm going to be a music producer. And then life just hits them real hard. Like the bills come in, their living situation's terrible. They have no money. And like the more comfortable you can make yourself by having like a stable job that can
without a doubt
to pay for your headphones, to pay for everything, like the more stable you can make that, I find those are the people that succeed in the long run. So like I basically after college got a job working at this like tech company in New York, and that's like when I was like, okay, I have to like sacrifice something, because if I come home from work, I'm tired as shit, like, and I just like watch TV and play video games, like I'm just going to have no time to write music. So it's like, okay, it's like the same as like the kid in school. You can either go out party on the weekends or, and you have to study, you have to go to class, you have to find time to kind of sacrifice something. So, that's why I find like most people that make music, like that's like their main shit they do, because it's like, it takes up so much time. And yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like having a job is like definitely nice. Like when I was like working like a little bit, like it's nice to be able to have the flexibility to like invest in, you know, gear, plugins, like a sick computer, you know, stuff like that. I definitely like some people handle pressure differently. I think, yeah, you're right. A lot of people like, you know, it sounds cool and it feels good when you're like, oh, I'm gonna, you know, do music full time. But I feel like if you're not ready for that, like you could really like burn yourself out from it with all that pressure of being like, oh, well, you know, the only way that I'm gonna sustain this is like by writing good music. And that to me is not for me, that's not when the best music comes out. Like I just need to be like chilling and in a good mindset and just like then the ideas start flowing. But if there's like a pressure to it, I feel like I don't know. Again, people handle pressure differently, but I don't know if that's the best way to kind of put art out.
I think a
At
good
least for me.
story related to that is like Claude Von Stroke. I remember he said this before, but like basically he was like he was doing a job. He was like a video editor in San Francisco in 2000, in like the early 2000s, and his wife was like, okay, you know, he was like starting to produce music and become a DJ, and like he needed money to start Dirty Bird the label, and he was like, his wife I think gave him like a loan or something, or like basically was like, you know, I'll pay all the bills for this year, and like you have to be able to make like this amount of money this year or else like you got to go back to your other job. So like, you know, I think for some people like that pressure, and obviously I think the world we live in now is like different than back then, but like for some people that pressure could work where they're like, okay, I'm going to give myself 1 year where I'm just gonna, you know, write music and do my thing and do whatever and kind of see how that works out. And for me, like, you know, I ended up quitting my job not when I was like making money from music as a DJ. Like I was kind of not making shit, but I was like, I'm gonna give myself a year to do this and just kind of see where it goes. And luckily, like I was able to live at home. So I moved back, you know, I was with my parents for like 2 years almost. And I just like did music every single day and produced. And like
Were you living in Manhattan? Like were you fully like
yeah, so I moved home after school because I was like, I just want to, you know, save money and
oh, your parents are in Manhattan. Like you
yeah,
guys
so I grew up in New York City. But
Your dog's in it.
what's up?
Your dog's in them.
Yeah, exactly. I was doxing.
And then so were you touring like were you touring in college at all, or did that come after? Like
no,
what's like the
yeah,
timeline, I guess?
So yeah, I was like just playing like local shows in college, not even like electronic music. Then I moved back to New York City. And then in New York, you know, I started playing some small parties, like not even like real clubs, but just like my friends would have little parties. And maybe this is something we can talk on as well, is like, you know, throwing your own parties as a DJ and producer and, you know, that side of the business, because that's yeah, Heider could talk about that. That's like a big, you know, aspect of the industry. But yeah, no, I think I did my first tour or my first show out of state was like in maybe 2 years after I graduated school. And like you know, the thing that a lot of people don't realize is that when you first started get booking for shows that are maybe outside your local area, you're not going to make shit money because you're going to have to fly somewhere, you're going to have to get Ubers and make food. And if you're opening up a club, you know, I don't know how much they pay openers now, but you know, it could be $100, it could be $300, it could be whatever. And like, you know,
you're saying that you have to pay for like the travel and all those expenses with your DJ fee.
Yeah, that's how in America it kind of
that's not how it works in Europe. No.
Yeah, it's different here. I mean, some DJs they can they can advance the flights and stuff, but most people they'll just take like a full fee. So they'll be like, okay, you're gonna get $1,000 and you got to be at this club in this state. And
yeah, that was literally me all last summer, bro. It was like, you know, a few $100s to cover like a flight and like Ubers and like I mean I wouldn't even stay at a hotel, bro. Like I was like, do I have any friends that I went to high school with that are in fucking Charlotte? Like
exactly, I would do the same thing, you know, like crash on people's couches. But
I'm at the point where I'm getting crazy, hotels now, so we're elevating, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
No,
More
in
cash.
Europe it's totally different. You pay for all the expenses like travel, hotel, food, whatever. You have to pay that on
Yeah.
top
So
of the fee.
so the way it works here is like you'll get, certain, it depends on the deal. So a DJ, that maybe they get booked somewhere. Sometimes like ground transportation's included. So like, you send them all your Uber receipts. Sometimes it's not included. Sometimes they pay for the hotel. Sometimes they do something called a buyout. So it's when the promoter will give you $400 and you book your own hotel, and the includes like the meal. Sometimes you get free meal at a restaurant.
Yeah.
It really just depends on the thing. But Heider, maybe you can talk about a little bit more, since you throw your own parties, and that's like one way that an up and coming DJ and producer can make money is start to have their own events and kind of be a promoter.
Yes and no, because I mean, before I made any money, it took me like about a couple of years. Because I don't know, it's not easy to start and throw parties. When we started, it was like 5 people. I think I was just DJing. I wasn't like into the. I wasn't a promoter per se. And the thing is, the money is not big. No, I mean, the club has X many people, and they pay X amount of money. That's gonna be your money, and at the end of the day, you have to pay for all the stuff, like the rental for the venue. It's not a lot of money until you start being until you get kind of popular, I would say, in your area. But yeah, it's definitely like a nice outlet to get recognized as a DJ locally, and to start building your brand and your fan base and whatever. And if you do stuff well, yeah, I think you can make some good money. I'm at the point now where I'm comfortable with what I make throwing parties, and it can either scale up and become like something quite big, or I don't know, stay where it is, or and dwindle down in a few years. I don't know, it depends.
Yeah.
It's
a good
it's a process.
It's a good tangential business to being a producer and DJ on your own, because you're able to kind of link that with your own brand, right? Like there's certain DJs that are known for their parties, like Yusuf, I think in the UK, he does circus,
Yeah.
like who does Ants, Andre Olivia. There's a lot of like, and a lot of these are related to music labels, which is something we can talk about as well, because you have a label, and that's another source of income for artists. But like, two good examples. Yeah, it's not, I think that the thing to take away
at this point, I can say it's self-sustaining. I don't have to put money in it to go on working on the label.
I think the thing you'll see a lot of producers do is that you kind of have to find a way to get income from a lot of different sources. Like, you're going to have your label maybe that is bringing in a little bit. You're going to have some parties that are bringing in. We can talk about merchandise as well, right? So, a lot of artists, it's so easy to make your own merch. There's like tons of companies that you basically just send them a design, and anyone can really make a design on Photoshop or whatever, and they'll print it for you. And Everpress, I think, is one of them. They do like limited batch printing. Shopify, you can make a store. So selling your merch is another great way. And like a lot of artists are known for their merch as well. Like Fisher has those like really cool party shirts that he wears at his shows and then sells them. I think Fisher's thing, Catch and Release. Yeah. So merch is like another great example of something you can do. One thing that
connecting to that, I think all these kind of like source of income come when you can build a brand that's strong enough that people get attached to enough. And it takes time. It's a process, and it's not money straight away, but you're kind of investing, I'd say. You're basically working towards a goal, and it may come or may not come, but yeah, at the end of the day, it's a work of passion, and you should treat it as a business in a way, because you should be organized. You should have goals for yourself. You should say you should be considerate in what you do and the decisions you take. but yeah, money is necessary, is not the goal, I think.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I mean, like what you said earlier, and I'll let you go in a second, Michael, is like when you started your parties, it was like 5 people and like no one there, right? And so I think a lot of people.
No, I meant was 5 people organizing the thing.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I thought you meant there were only
No,
5 people at
it's
the parties. All right, there was maybe 10
no,
people at the
no.
party, right?
I'm like, no, we did like 300 when we started.
Okay.
That's a lot of
You're
people.
not helping for my case, but what I'm trying to say is that
Sorry.
no, it's all good. What I'm trying to say is that, like, a lot of times producers, you think that you would maybe, like, if you're an artist, need to be at a certain level before you do something like merch, before you do something like start a label. And I think there is something to say about that. Like, it is, if the first thing, the first thing you should do is try to get good at making music and, building your brand and artistry a little bit, but you shouldn't wait too long. And like, if you keep waiting, you'll kind of like never do something. So for a lot of these kind of like side business ventures, I think it's important to kind of just kind of throw shit at the wall and see what sticks and start to do it, and like, do it in the right way, like you said, like proper business. But for me, like, I was so scared to do merch for like a long time because I was like, oh, who's gonna buy my shirt, blah blah blah. And I think like getting started early and familiarizing yourself with different ways that you can make money, it just makes you way more experienced. It gives you a lot more leverage. And so the takeaway here is don't wait too long, like get started early and try out different things and see what works for you. For certain people, merch may not work. That's not really like their kind of thing, but maybe music production lessons or making a sample pack or presets like that may work for them,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think like too, as like a local up and coming DJ, I think it's really, really important to like either have your own kind of thing or just like get involved with like whatever local thing is in the area that is like active. Like I get a lot of questions. People are like, oh, like, what do you think about like this label or this label? And they're just like, random labels, I guess, on like SoundCloud that like might have like a few hundred followers or whatever. But I think it's like really important to get involved with labels like Noid or labels like, I don't know, Groovy Bone in Charlotte that are like throwing parties. You know what I'm saying? Like if I was a local in Italy, like, bro, I'd be sending you demos like every day, just like, trying to like get into that ecosystem, because like I think it's important that like a label can like offer you something that you can't, provide yourself, or else like just
tangible, right?
self-release it or
Yeah.
start. Yeah, exactly. And
Yeah, to be honest, it's kind of one of the objectives we have to bring on talent, local talent. So
yeah, completely.
It
makes sense. Like, and all these other labels that aren't really like doing anything, they're just gonna take 50% of your sales and like maybe give you some cool art or whatever, But yeah, so it's cool to see like the local, boutique labels like really crushing their like local scenes, like.
So awesome. I have a question for you guys. This is usually like a big debate that goes on Twitter, and I feel like it is pretty much related to what we're talking about today of making money as a producer. So do you think if you were a newer producer, DJ, artist, whatever, and you got booked for a show and the guy's like, you're opening up for this big act, you're going to be the first one. I don't have any money for you, but I can give you this time slot, doors 9 o'clock to 10, maybe a bigger DJ's on later, like, Chris Lake is on 1 to 3 or something. Do you think, it's okay to take fees, no fee, and do the show? Or do you think it's, they should always get fees? Because I know this is like a big debate people get.
As a promoter, I try to always pay fairly the DJs that perform for me. And as a DJ, to be honest, I wouldn't take it. I'd be like, you're undervaluing me. I mean, why do you want me? I don't know. Am I just like an interchangeable piece of the puzzle, or what? Or do you actually want me?
Yeah,
That's what I think.
It's hard, yeah, because I don't know. You think like it's just kind of like making everybody else like less valuable, because like instead of having like a local guy that's like really popping for like $300, you can just like get some random that'll, or not some random, but just somebody that'll like take the time slot just to get in front of the crowd, So then it just kind of like I don't know what's that term called when you just like
water
undercut
down,
everybody.
kind of like,
Water it down or like
Yeah.
lower the ceiling or some shit. I don't know. Just like
Yeah, I
devalues
think a promoter
everybody.
that does that, like say that's tell some DJs to play for free and whatever. It's kind of not doing anything in his favor actually, because the scene is gonna get like shittier because the level gets
Yeah,
lower if
a
many
big
people do
thing.
that.
Yeah, a big thing in Cincinnati, or I don't really want to call it Cincinnati. I just think in like smaller like scenes, right? Like a lot of the times, like promoters are looking to fill the room like by any means necessary. So it's like, all right, we want to book these people that have a local influence or have a ton of friends that or can sell a bunch of tickets. And unfortunately, that's a little bit different than, you know, supporting the actual art like in the
Yeah.
scene. So it's just like I mean, yeah, that's just a very complex topic that I feel like yeah, I don't know. I don't know if I have the answer to that, but
I mean, I
You
think
know what?
it's not like a clear cut answer, right? And you know, let's say like it's not a zero fee or something, but it's like a really low or shitty. You know, like I think it's important to understand that sometimes as like an artist, you kind of need to make sacrifices to like put yourself in a better position. So like I over the years have definitely taken shows that are very low money or no money, or extra slots at places for no money. Like, you know, like if you go play EDC and you go play the art card EDC, they have all these little art cards around the festival. You get to, you know, you don't go on the main flyer, but you get your own flyer with the art cards, and you get to, you know, go to EDC and play. They're not going to pay you jack shit for the art cards. That's just the way they do it. And but the other side of that is like you get to be like, yo, I just played at EDC technically, right?
yeah, facts.
So like I think there are cases where, you know, even like if you're looking at it just from a business perspective, like the potential, people call it like the look, right? Like the look of playing that show for like a little bit of money in the long run's way better, because you can kind of like add that to your resume. But I do agree that if it is just, you know, if you are going to play for free in your local nightclub, you're basically saying, if I don't play for free, they're just going to put someone else in there, and that I am that like replaceable DJ that goes, you know, that anyone can kind of replace me. So I think there, you know, you got to find ways, and there's never like a right answer to the question, and you have to analyze the scenario and see, does this make sense for me? But it is something that comes up a lot, so I thought it would be good to kind of bring this up.
Oh no, it's a good question for sure. And like all last summer, like I feel like that's sort of like what I was kind of getting my feet wet in, is like I was more excited about just like getting into these like new markets and being able to DJ more than it was like I want to like actually profit like a lot off of the show, you know. Like I definitely didn't want to lose money, and I didn't lose money, but I was just like, you know, an opportunity to be able to like get on a plane and like go travel is just like crazy, you know. So you definitely have to like balance that out on like where you feel like you're at in your career, because like, you know, like Tyler, I don't want to speak for you, but you know, now I feel like you're at a point where, you know, you can actually like, you know, maximize like your business, you know, whereas like maybe 2 years ago, it was like, fuck it, like we want to get on that EDC art car flyer and, you know, play that show.
Yeah,
I don't know.
exactly.
I don't know how it is.
You know why I started my party?
Why you started it?
Yeah. Because basically I didn't have a place a place to play, because all the promoters were like, okay, you're bringing people, we pay you based on the people. And I've never been that sociable guy who like knows everyone, is gonna bring people in and that stuff. So yeah, I basically started a party with a guy that was doing that, and
I feel like
I started, and it's paying off now.
I feel like you just kind of have to like figure out like what works for you, you know, like there's so many different things that you could do in this music industry, but like if you're not the sociable guy, then like, you know, go figure out what works. Or if you are the sociable guy, like go sell tickets and promote and like get involved that way. Like it's just everybody's different, you know.
And I think like, I mean, this is a great segue into talking about like other ways you can make money. So, you know, the only reason why we're all here together, like doing this podcast is because it's actually because of you, Michael, or Moose. Sorry for calling you your real name.
I call you Tyler. It's cool.
Yeah, it's all good. We can only call each other. Except I'm not calling you Filippo. It's too hard to say.
Phil, bro, that's nice.
Phil.
Yeah, Phil is fine.
Phil is easier. Yeah, so like
Unreal.
during the pandemic, you know, pretty much all artists like revenue streams, other than maybe royalties, got like fucked in the ass. You know, we couldn't play any shows. There's no parties going on, so you know, doing something like a music production lesson was something that got really big over the pandemic, and it was something that like I never thought of. Like I never thought of like myself of like, you know, one, I didn't think I was like decent enough as a producer to like help other people learn. Two, I didn't think I was like, you know, good at teaching or explaining music production to people. But I kind of like took a risk and I was like, okay, you know, I'm not making money. Like, what if I did some Zoom lessons with people and charge them like an hourly rate? And, you know, I didn't charge that much. And, you know, I started this at the beginning of the pandemic. And then like within like a few weeks, I advertised on my Instagram and, you know, some other places. I had a ton of people hitting me up and being like, yo, I want to do a lesson with you, blah, blah, blah. And like that kind of led me on this whole journey 2 years later, you know, to start my own like music production community and like this whole business. And, you know, it was just crazy because like if I decided, I don't want to do these lessons, like I want to just play COD that night or whatever, you know, that none of this could have ever happened. So I think a good point is that like it's important to just like try stuff and see, like you said, like see what works for you. So like music production lessons and like education is like a really big space now. A lot of people want to learn how to make music. So you can, you know, a couple things you can do there is you can teach one-on-one lessons. Like I think both of you guys do that, and we can talk about that in a sec. You can make a course, right? So there's a lot of websites. You can make your own courses, and, you know, you can record yourself, maybe making a track from scratch in a certain genre. You can record yourself breaking down one of your own songs, and you can put that out on the internet. You can sell it. Another thing I've done is I have my own YouTube channel, so I give out content for free there, right? But you can supplement that. So, you know, I can sell the project file on my website. That's a great source of passive income, because once it goes up on the website, it's not like a t-shirt where you have to like go ship it out and you lose sales. Like it just sells itself.
Yeah, the digital downloads are fucking nice because you don't gotta do shit.
You don't gotta do anything. And the, you know, if you have something that's promoting it, like a YouTube video, that's a great way to do it. You can make like a rack, like an Ableton rack, or you can make presets or a sample pack. Those are all different ways that, you know, as a producer, once you get to a level where you're, you know, good enough to be doing those things. And I wouldn't be saying like, you know, you downloaded Ableton 5 months ago, you should start doing lessons. But, you know, when I started, there was a guy that was like an amateur producer. I paid him $20 an hour in high school. And, you know, if you're in a small town or something and your friends want to learn, you know, and you only been producing for a little bit of time, I think it's fair to charge them. And, you know,
totally.
You know what they say, that if you know like just 10% more than what they know, it looks like, you know,
totally
like way
it's,
more. And it's gonna be valuable for them anyway. So
it's really cool that like the whole like music education space is actually like blowing up like crazy. Like I don't know, is it like, it couldn't have been like that crazy before. Obviously there was like, you know, the tour rooms and like, you know, different like academies and stuff before the pandemic, but I feel like giving people that time to like explore Ableton just opened up like so many opportunities for like kick and bass to thrive. Like our one-on-one lessons to just, you know, be, you know, doing pretty well. Like that's just so cool.
Yeah, I mean, I think it's a supply thing, right? Or a demand thing. The demand for learning how to make music went up crazy during the pandemic. Everyone has free time, so you know,
and it's so valuable too. Like back when I did that one with you, bro. Like, I like feel like it changed the trajectory of like where I was able to go, and I don't want to give you that kind of credit, bro, but you helped out a lot. You know what I'm saying? Like,
and I'll let you go in a second, Phil, but it's not only about like the money with music education. Like there's so much it's so fulfilling to like help people get better as a
So
producer
fulfilling.
and like see their productions get better in like the long run. Like that, you can't really put a price on that. And so
Yeah, it's crazy.
yeah,
It's crazy. Like I'm even seeing like some of my students like signing tracks. I'm just like, bro, it's fire.
they're gonna pass you, bro. They're gonna.
I know, bro, for real.
You can't give away too much, but
I'm an open book.
But you guys both do, you guys are both guest coaches or assistant coaches in kick and bass. So, you help us make content for videos. You help us give feedback. You guys do lessons, and finding or starting your own community like that can be a great way to do it. Or, if, there's a lot of like schools out there. I know producers that are teachers at schools like Icon Collective. And they still do like, all of us, we're still trying to live this dream of being, an artist and DJ that we talked about in the beginning, getting that Rolex and getting on that private flight. I'm just kidding. We're not necessarily trying to do that, but
I just want the main stage.
Yeah, exactly. We all just want the pyro on the main stage, but the great thing is that it all works together, right? Like we're all in Ableton doing these things. It's all tangentially related, as opposed to like working at the grocery store. And there's nothing wrong with working at the grocery store, but if you rather have music be your full kind of 360, these are some great ways to supplement that.
I also think like finding like a digital like homie network, like helped so much. Like Phil and I came up in like Ernesto's Discord. Like I can't even tell you how much that helped. Like just having like week after week, like with the track roast and stuff, like having your community able to give feedback. Like it's seriously like, I think it's like one of the top things I think that producers can do is like getting involved somehow, digitally with other people that are doing the same thing. Yeah, me too.
The pandemic helped me a lot because I got to network with a lot of people, and I also I get to know a lot of DJs because during parties I book them and I get to spend a day with them because you have to driving around and stuff, and
you got to show them where to get the best pasta in Milan.
Oh yeah, sure. We always do that. And the thing is they always like tell you about how they came up and that stuff, and most of the times they used to have a job or they did something before. I haven't met many people that have been doing music for their whole life, and so it's not a shame to find a job.
No, 100%. It goes back to what we said before. It's like you want to be like comfortable, and put yourself in a position where if you want a new pair of speakers, like that's an option. You know what I mean? Like the more comfortable you can be, the better, I think, for your music. It's not always just about like 24/7 music all the time. It works for some people. And again, the goal shouldn't necessarily be to like make it as a DJ. You just want to make as best music as you can, because that at the end of the day, that's like the number one thing to getting, playing shows and getting streams is good music. Like if you can make incredible music, that can happen. Like who's the dude from he's like one of the, like, I don't want to say Kazakhstan, maybe he did the remix, the Slap House remix. Imanbek, right? Like fucking random dude from like a country that you would never think is big for electronic music, and does like a TikTok remix and it blows up. So it's at the end of the day, it's all about the music, and there will always be those kind of chance moments, those like not like a freak accident, but like things where it's like this song blew up and this guy's life has changed forever. But for most people, that's not the case. You're not the NBA player, you're not LeBron James, and it's more about finding like a balance. And like we said, there's a lot of great ways to do that. I wanted to talk quickly about some more like music industry financial related stuff. I think one thing that a lot of people like always wonder about is like how a manager and like an agent works, because those are kind of like financial aspects of being an artist. Do you guys have managers or no?
No.
Yes.
So one thing I've noticed as being, I've gone through like 6 different managers, is that like most DJs, or producers, artists, they think they kind of like need this manager to be like at a certain level, or it's like some status kind of thing. And for the most times, like your manager is just like your friend that like knows a little bit about music, and it's like, I want to manage you, and it's like, I'm gonna take over the world. And like, until you have someone that it's like that's all they do, is like their full-time job is being a music manager, and they see the financial benefit of working with you, like it's total bullshit. Like you can manage all your own stuff yourself, blah blah blah. But like the thing that a manager does is like they'll take a certain percentage cut of like all your income, and like usually like standard, I would say no more than like 20%, but like 15-20% is kind of like standard for a management company or a manager. And like the great thing is that like a manager is kind of like your middleman between people that want to book you, but any kind of like person or company in the space, like they can kind of represent you without having you to represent yourself. And that's like super important money wise.
It's always nice to have someone who is an asshole for you.
Exactly. You're paying someone to basically be an asshole for you, instead of you being the asshole, and you can kind of be nice to everyone. And they do a lot more than that, but that's kind of what a management does, and they kind of work with everyone. The agent is the one that goes and helps book your shows, so they're the ones that actually kind of bring you the largest sum of money for most DJs, which is like coming from show fees. I would say standard is 10%. I don't really know any agency that takes more than 10%.
Yeah, 10.
That's like in America.
Like, some agency get like 15.
Yeah, 15 would say like that. 20 is a lot, like in my opinion. I would never say.
Yeah, but that's usually on top of the fee. Like they charge a fee for the DJ, and they say, okay, 20% of this is agency, and you have to pay it on top.
Yeah. So
so they're not taking the money away from the DJ, they're adding it up.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
It makes
sense.
I
think like timing is everything, because like once you get a manager and an agent in place, like you're gonna be giving up like what 20 to 25% of like your revenue stream, like,
or probably.
So it has to make sense. Like in my experience, like I just recently like have gotten like new management, and it's nice because like this past summer, like when I was playing shows, like I had to negotiate my own fee, which sucked. I had to like figure out, I don't know, it's just like a lot to do, right? So like with like an agent and a manager in place, like it's nice because then the artist can like focus solely on artist stuff and not necessarily like running like your day-to-day like emails or like negotiations and stuff like that. But like until there's like actually like money coming in, until there's like actually like like money coming in, like it just
I mean, it's not.
And also too, like this is advice I got from you, Tyler. Say that again.
Well, I was gonna say it's not worth it for either party really if there's no money coming in.
Oh no,
it's like,
no, not at all.
They're not gonna work with you.
Then nobody's like incentivized. Yeah, nobody's incentivized to like But this is advice I got from you, Tyler. Was like, there's like not one person in the world that's gonna give more of a fuck about your music career than you. Yeah. And I think that is like very like interesting to hear, so it's like, bring on a manager, like that's a huge decision, and it's got to feel good, it's got to feel right, and if it doesn't, then it doesn't make any sense, I think.
I was gonna actually say that. So it's like, at the end of the day, anyone that you bring along, like that's why I said before, it's like it's not really that important for people to have managers, especially like, I didn't really have like a proper manager or an agent until like year 8 of my 10-year music career. You know what I mean? Like it took a really, really long time, and still no one cares about your art and your project and what you do more than you do. And no one's going to be more motivated than you. So it's like,
when did that come along for you? Was that like after college, like when you were living at home, or was that before?
I had like little, like, when I first started, I think I had like some managers. Like one guy was like a promoter, through some parties across the country in a different place, and it worked 4 months, you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
like and then I had a couple others and blah blah blah. So like it took me like until I started doing music full time, like maybe 2 to 3 years ago, to actually work with like real managers that, you know, worked with other artists. But even then it took a while to find the right fit, and you know, that's just the kind of the way it goes. But I'm kind of losing my train of thought here. But yeah, no one's gonna care about your project more than you. So don't worry about that stuff. Don't give away money unless you know need to, because like if you're gonna give away 20%, you want to be making by doing that more than 20%, right? So you got to think that this person's gonna help take me to a place where it's actually not gonna matter that I'm giving away 20%, because I wouldn't have even
exactly
been at this place if I didn't do that, you know.
And if you get an email from some random guy asking to be your agent, just delete it.
Yeah, exactly. Don't entertain those people. Those people are trying to leech off you. They're just trying to, you know, they're sending that email to 1,000 people, and I've gotten these emails before, and they're hoping that
$200 startup fee.
Yeah, they're hoping.
Yeah, there's some weird people that do that. That charge a monthly fee. Yeah, I'm like,
be a manager.
What the fuck?
No, like
my manager charges me. What is he doing for me then?
Exactly. Yeah. They're doing that, and they're hoping that one of those guys is Imanabek and blows up, and then they have a contract or something like that.
And then they can scam more people. Basically, I've got a few proposals myself for management, and it wasn't from sketchy guys like these, but actually people that were kind of close with me in the music thing. But I didn't feel like I had the need, to be honest. It was like, what are you bringing to the table? Okay, can I get there myself? I think so. Do we have the time? Yeah. So does it make sense? No. And that's the route you need to follow if you want to decide, okay, I'm going to work with this person, if you know or not.
Yeah, even there's some big DJs that don't have managers. I don't think Camel Fat has managers, to be honest. I think they do it all themselves. Wow. They're like, I mean, there's people that do certain things that, you know, that managers can do and or agents can do, but you know, it all goes back to, it's like, if you can do it yourself, like, why pay someone else to do it for you? And I think
100%.
for 98% of producers, you can kind of do it yourself. And you know, the goal is to get to a point where you can't do it yourself, and then that's when, or someone comes along that has amazing connections that, you know, it works out for you. But
connections is a big thing. It's like being able to like get introductions with people that you might normally not be able to, or it would have been harder to, and then it's like, I don't know.
Exactly. Or like maybe they've managed an artist that, you know, a lot of things I've seen in this music in this industry is like, the way that DJs kind of come up is there is another DJ that's supporting them, right? Maybe they're playing out their music or does like a remix for them. Then they start to play shows with that DJ. Then they sign to that DJ's agency.
Clooney, Chris Lake type
example, right? Like Clooney, you know,
Biscuits and Sonny Fodera.
Exactly. Yeah. You know, it's you find someone that supports you, and you can kind of work together and make something dope. Before we wrap up, I do want to talk about setting up a business, because I think that's an important thing that a lot of, you know, producers and DJs can do. So I don't know how this works in Italy, but in the great old
it's a mess, man. It's a mess.
In capitalistic America, it's very easy to set up a business. So it took me a while, but when I quit my job, I set up like an LLC, like kind of based off my DJ name, and I registered it in the state of New York. Don't do that. Don't do what I do. Never set up a business in New York. And I'm not a lawyer, so don't take advice from me specifically. But
it sounds like financial advice.
This is what I've been told. You should set up a business in the state of Delaware, because in Delaware, they don't have any business taxes. So anyone can set it up in Delaware. And then if you're in America,
do you have to have like an address there?
No, you don't.
Really?
I don't know how. There's some way to do it, but every corporation, like all the big corporations,
the loopholes.
They're all set up in Delaware. Yep, they're all set up there. Coca-Cola, like they're all their like main office.
Really?
Not their office, but like that's there's like there's no business taxes, state taxes in Delaware. But regardless of that, if you're starting to make money from music, your hobby is now turned into something that can make you a little bit of money. Maybe it's streams, maybe it's playing shows. You want to set up a business, because then you can start writing off your expenses as business expenses. So you can, set up your LLC, and it's super simple. It's not like a corporation or anything. It's basically your social security number, your taxpayer ID becomes your business's ID, and that's what you get taxed on. But you can start to like write off things. So, if you go to a show and you're Ubering to the show, that's something you can write off. If you're buying plugins, if you're paying for songs on Beatport, that's something you can write off. And, getting those good business practices kind of established early, getting your accounting right, things like that, is super helpful, because it'll just make your artistry a little bit more like business oriented, and it'll kind of like set you up later on if you do sell merch, or if you do start to sell a project file on like your store or whatever it is. You kind of already have like the machine going. You're like, oh, now how do I treat this income, blah blah blah. So find out if it's something that's worth for you. If you're making like more than $500 a year on this music thing, try to set up a business, and you can write off a ton of shit. That's what I did.
Yeah, if you're not writing stuff off, you got to, because you're just gonna pay a shitload of money in taxes, especially if you're buying things like us.
And producers buy shit all the time. That's like all we do.
Yeah, for sure.
Buy a new plugin, buy a new
Yeah.
synthesizer, buy whatever.
Yeah. Also, too, this is not financial.
You're like you're in the US, guys.
Yeah, for real.
But we have no healthcare here, so we're kind of fucked anyway.
Yeah, true.
What?
We have no healthcare.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Like
if
At least we have that.
Yeah, if I break, we have shitty pasta, no healthcare. So if I break my leg, that's more than a pair of speakers there.
Yeah.
You should break it in Italy then.
Yeah. You're gonna pick me for a show. I'm gonna get all my healthcare needs done while I'm in Italy.
Go see the doctor.
Yeah, exactly.
If people are interested in like buying equipment that you don't necessarily have to have an LLC set up, but I don't know if either of you guys have looked into Sweetwater financing, but it's like kind of sick. Like it's 0% interest, and you can do like 24 or 36 months. So if you need like, a shit ton of gear, like you're in a position where you can afford like that, you can do it for basically like $150 a month.
Yeah, I've always bought things just straight up on Sweetwater. I'm not the kind of guy that buys a lot of gear. I'm like more in the box, but that's a super, especially if like, you're trying to take it from maybe just producing on your laptop speakers, and like, maybe you're trying to get a pair of monitors. And
the reason why I was looking into it is because like for somebody like me, like I'm like fresh out of college, decent amount of money coming in, but like nobody's like rich over here. So it's like I'm for sure living paycheck to paycheck, and like gotta pay rent and stuff. So like if I wanted a new set of like monitors, right, like I need that $1,500 for like my cash flow or whatever. So it's like, fuck it, let me just do like a financing option and pay for them like $30 a month over the next like 2 years.
Yeah, that's a great I wanted to talk about this too, because I think if this wouldn't be a good podcast unless we talked about like NFTs, but there are a lot of cool ways that artists can kind of make money that like says fuck you to the labels and to the promoters and whatever, and that's with like this Web3 kind of NFT space. So there's like different platforms that launch like music NFTs. So if you're into like the crypto world and Web3, like that can be super lucrative. Basically, have an NFT that's related to your music. There's tons of different like cool websites that do it, like Soundxyz, I think, is one of them. Like every single one of their music NFTs sells out for like a few Ethereum. So it's a few $1,000.
Jeez, bro.
Yeah, like it's a really big space. And so,
what was that called?
Sound.xyz, I think it is. I'm not really involved in like Web3, but if it is something you're in, and it's not something you can just like go in and be like, I'm gonna make like thousands of dollars selling my music NFTs, for crypto.
Should upload the podcast there.
Exactly, we're gonna upload it there and get rich. But
Bro, imagine selling a song for 10 Ethereum.
Dude, like there's,
Why?
you have to do it in the right way, and you have to be in the space, and there has to be kind of a community around you, and blah blah blah.
Yeah.
But there are people that don't even like Blau and stuff. Like I don't think they all their music comes out now like in Web3 format or
Wow, that's insane. I don't know anything about this space, but it's crazy.
it's very different from like traditional ways, but I did want to bring it up because I think it is for people that are more involved with that, it's a great way to supplement your income. But yeah, I think this was a sick episode. Definitely learned a lot from you guys and some new tips. And hopefully if you're a producer, I would say like the summary here is like, don't do it for the money, do it for the love of the music, and because you love making music. And if it is something that you want to pursue full time, start thinking about if you're going to quit your other job or whatever, and you're going to say I'm only want to make music or make money from music, start thinking about what ways you're going to do that. Are you going to be a promoter? Are you going to sell merch? Are you going to be in the music education space? We gave you guys lots of great examples here to kind of for things to try out and see what works for you. But there is ways to do it. Even with those stuff, it's not like you're gonna be there's way better ways to make money. Like if you want to get rich, don't spend your time in Ableton. Like learn trading or something else like that. But it can help you get by, and you'll be doing what you love, which I think is the most important thing. Because that at the end of the day, that's priceless. Like if your job is something you love and you don't have to do other things, like nothing's better than that. So
nothing's better than that.
You guys have any final remarks? If not, we'll wrap this bad boy up.
And if you're still
just to close it off, I think the one phrase would be have a plan.
Yes,
that's it. Don't just go straight in without thinking.
Yeah.
Have a plan and do thing with like, how do you say that? I don't know how to say that in English.
Say it in Italian.
Pensaci prima.
Someone's gonna have to translate that, but
yeah.
No, having a plan is super important. Like if you're just like, oh, I'm gonna quit everything and like I'll figure it out. Like what's gonna happen is you're gonna get really frustrated. You're gonna get broke real quick, and then you're not gonna make music because you're depressed all the time, and then that's gonna happen. So
yeah, I had to make like a business plan in like one of my like senior year like business classes, and I just kind of like did it as like a music thing, and it was honestly like a great way to just kind of like put it all into paper and kind of strategize like what that like 5-10 year plan was going to be.
Is there
so
like
do that too.
Is that what it's called, a business plan? Is there like a
business plan? Yeah.
So I'm sure if you're listening to this now and you want to make a business plan for yourself, just go to Google and like
for sure,
so many template or like how to make a business plan, and you could follow that through, because that at the end of the day, being an artist is half of it's being an artist, half of it's being in the business side of things. So it's unfortunate, but you have to kind of do both if you want to
for sure
do it full time.
And if you're still looking to polish some production tips, check out Phil and I's one-on-one lessons. We'll be happy to take care of you.
Yeah, see, we're self-promoting here. The whole podcast was to advertise Kick and Bass in their lessons. But all right, guys, well, this was a good episode. We're gonna wrap this up. And we'll see you for episode 3 of the Kick and Bass podcast.
Oh yeah, good times.
See you next time. Ciao.
Lates.